Hi, I'm Ellie Crystal from crystallinks.com. I'm here in Brooklyn, New York with my friend Clell today. Hi, Clell.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, we have been sitting here talking about the amazing earthquakes and climate changes that are going on over the past month, particularly in the Ring of Fire. Take a look over here, Clell. This is what we've got just for
We
today.
got Peru. Something really major happened in Peru, right?
Yep, there was a powerful 7.5 Peru Brazil border earthquake. Now, the difference between this and what you mostly read about is that this has happened inland. You know, people tell me, oh, there's big earthquakes everywhere all the time, but do they affect populated areas? That's the question. And the increase in earthquakes currently is in populated areas. So this was today, December 18th. Let's go back a day. Okay, Clell.
Okay.
We are in Papua New Guinea, which is Indonesia. And as we scroll down, we find that they had a 7.9 yesterday. And that was just a few days after a 7.8. Now, I have been blogging about earthquakes and tsunamis since the beginning of Crystal Links in 1994. In 1995, I started going more in depth, and in 1998, there was a tsunami that hit Papua New Guinea on July 17th. And when I read about it, all I could think to myself is the next time they start to get hit with something of this magnitude, we're very close to what we call end times, not to scare anybody, not to, Chloe, you scared or you like, hey?
I just lived for today.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But, you know, back in those days in the 1990s when I did blog about the earthquakes, they were 2s and 3s. And, you know, scientists will tell you, yes, they really are centered in the Pacific Ring of Fire. But then I said they're going to go, as the years pass, from 2s and 3s to 3s and 4s and so on and so on. And the stronger they get, the more frequent they're going to occur, and they're going to move out of unpopulated areas into populated areas. If you've been watching Europe over the first, first part of this autumn, there were a lot of earthquakes. I believe that was Italy, right? Northern Italy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's always some in the Caribbean, in the Mediterranean. But now our focus right now, since November 4th, has been the Pacific Ring of Fire. So we look at this and we say, wow, we are no longer doing 3s and 4s. We are now passing the 5s and 6s and 7s, and we are moving up to the 8s. And this, which I'll scroll very slowly, and I will post on my YouTube where you can find this information. Now, here's another one that really caught my eye. This one was an earthquake that shook Sonoma County, Mammoth Lake, in California, and that happened on the 14th, which is only 4 days ago. That took me back to another file on prophecy. Remember the old prophecy files?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone used to say, oh, this is going to happen. And Edgar Cayce says, once Japan goes, that's it. That's the end. There was a prophecy by a woman called Eskimo Woman Prophecy. And in her prophecy, she talks about the mammoth, I keep calling it mammoth, like we live in Jersey, mammoth areas. She talked about a volcano that would go off and other earth-shaking, shall we call them, events. Now, this is what's going on there. This is exactly what's happening there. And this is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. So we've got some more interesting things that go all the way up into California.
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma is big. Oklahoma's fracking. And because of the fracking, that's where they drill for oil. Because of the fracking, what we find are earthquakes that have reached the fives. And once we get to the sevens and the eights, certainly the nines, it's all going to go. When the Pacific Ring of Fire, all these countries, I'll go down a little bit of the list, when all of these countries reach, and they're at the 8 already, when they reach 9, we've got tsunamis, volcanoes, some above ground, some underwater. Some of the countries have thousands along Central and South America. They have thousands of earthquakes. And once those earthquakes start to go off, this creates an ice age. But let's finish this list. So we have California. That was this. This is all very, very recent.
I like that seismograph thing you showed of the world. That showed all the aftershocks.
Yeah, wait, I could click on that one. And then we have, let's see, this is going back to November. And I actually see these earthquakes in my mind before they happen. Here's Japan. We're not going to get away without Japan. This one was a 6.9, which is saying it's a 7.
Yeah.
And this is in the same area where there was nuclear, this was near a nuclear plant a few years ago, and the toxins from that nuclear plant are still coming across the Pacific to our western coast of North America. Now we have, this one shook a lot of my clients up. This was just before Thanksgiving. This was Argentina, Chile, or Chile, however you pronounce it. And also know something. When they shake on South America, that vibrates across, and very often on the Atlantic seaboard, you are going to hear about earthquakes in places like the Wayward Islands, Puerto Rico. It's the point being, it's all coming loose, and it's happening just the way I predicted it back in 1995, very, very quickly. Okay, so apparently all the trouble started here, and everybody still knows about this because it's still shaking and breaking. This was the 7.8 last month in New Zealand. That was November 14th. That one, I happen to have some clients who live in Christchurch. I don't know if I ever told you about them, but they said the aftershocks are so powerful, they're like individual earthquakes of their own. Roads are being blocked. Buildings are collapsing or just generally unsafe. Anywhere where you're going to get an earthquake of these magnitudes is unsafe. So, all right, so let's look at what you're talking about, and that I will get off of my blog, because everybody who reads my blog every day scrolls down slowly, and lo and behold, they see this little map. So you click on that, and there we have the red circles represent the current earthquakes. I will give and the circles that shake after, those are your aftershocks.
And the yellow ones were yesterday.
The orange were yesterday, the yellow ones were, let's say, within the last 2 or 3 days. Okay? So here's the California one from a few days ago. See how this over here, this is today, it's causing shaking here. Okay? It's causing shaking, here's Florida, here's North America, it's causing shaking all across the plates. This purple is called the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. You can Google it, look in Wikipedia, but it is also coming up, and their earthquakes are 4s and 5s. Can you kind of see that? 4.5
Yep.
On December 11th.
Yep.
So even though the main earthquakes are in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is very seismic, there are earthquakes everywhere that are happening. I'll just do this again so you can just see. This is Hawaii, by the way. This is today, and this is Hawaii. And if I put my cursor on Hawaii, it shows, go ahead, Clell.
4.53.
Yeah, which is not that big. People don't take the 4s all that seriously. They just think 4s are...
Still going on. Still happening.
Yeah, we've got some time, but we don't have a lot of time. Then let's look down here where I'm pointing my cursor.
Okay.
This area here, not to even get off topic, okay? We're going down towards Antarctica, way
Okay.
down here, our South Pole. Something interesting happened there recently that's probably not an earthquake of note, although that's going to occur there too. But recently, Secretary of State John Kerry and astronaut Buzz Aldrin happened to go down there at a time when people are coming forward with information about alien bases there, UFO bases, all things related to that conspiracy theory. Now, going back to the beginning of Crystal Links and even before, when I learned how to remote view, I just took my consciousness and let it travel. And one of the places I went to, without being too airy-fairy and whatever, but I have a good ability to remote view, meaning I can move my consciousness from here somewhere else and still be grounded here. And one of the places I saw, which took me a while to figure out where I was below Antarctica. And I was like, whoa, there's alien bases here. Holy moly. I was doing this with a group of people. It wasn't just me alone. And all of us were just seeing the same thing because they had the ability to go. And we just saw all of these alien bases down there. UFO, some antiquated, like they hadn't been in use for thousands of years, but other things that were still active. How they were powered, none of us really could discern. You know, some people say, well, crystals do it. I don't know that much about that, so I couldn't tell you. So we find that at a time where, let's just say this is end times, either the earthquakes are going to do us in, the climate changes, political factors, social factors, economic factors, everything is imploding. Could we look at it that way?
Yeah, even during World War II Germany were sending crews to Antarctica to see what was going on over there.
Yeah, that's very big.
And we found some underground bunkers World War II Germany created there.
Well, Germans did have bunkers there, and a lot of people think this is where Hitler went when he allegedly died, which very few people think he died in 1945, but, you know, yeah, I know, it is associated with Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I think he went to Argentina.
He went to Argentina, but how close is Argentina?
It's very close.
There
yeah.
we go. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like right there. It's not really that far if you can fly.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to take a boat there, but so there's a lot of things that could be pseudoscience. They could be science, but all of a sudden now something has happened in this country, and that's Donald Trump. Donald Trump was elected president, as you know, a month ago. Some people hate it, some people like it, it doesn't matter. The point being, I thought the whole election was in some weird way orchestrated, not by Trump, not by Clinton's, but really orchestrated by something greater. You want to call it a cabal or a secret government, or I don't know, New World Order. It doesn't matter. There's all kinds of names that mean that people are not actually choosing our leaders. We're really not. I mean, these are groups that create the wars and the economies and everything else. So now we have Trump coming in to office. And against all odds and every bit of stupidity that's happened and nonsensical things, I mean, nothing about the political system this year has made any sense. But all of a sudden now, who should come popping up but Donald Trump? And Donald Trump, to me, and I didn't realize why I was going to vote for him, that I was even going to vote for him till Election Day. If you look at him, and you know he's got big, you know what?
Hands?
No.
Oh.
A big pair.
Okay, right.
I don't think his hands are that small. I read hands for a living. I read palms.
Big kahunas.
Big kahunas, there we go.
Cojones.
He has an average size hand for a man. They're not.
It's smaller than mine.
His hands are smaller than yours?
He's 6'3".
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think his hands are. But I'm not going to his personal business. But anyway, I don't know about that. But to make a long story short, I knew that this is the guy who was going to come in, and if anybody was going to do it, because the Clintons didn't do it, the Bushes didn't do it,
Obama didn't do it.
Obama wanted to in the worst way. Obama used to hint at things and say things like, well, you already know the truth, but I'm not at liberty to speak about it, you know? I mean, if there is a truth, not just about some dead alien bodies, but the truth about the alien-human connection, then he's the guy who's going to bring it.
Yeah.
And that's why he is, in my belief system, I don't know how you feel, Clell, but in my belief system, this is why he got elected. This is why, no matter what he does, like he says, if he stands on Broadway and 42nd Street and shot somebody, he'd still be elected. There is a method to the madness. I'm not saying I approve of who he is and what he does and how he's running things. Am I interested in his business and professional and political interests? You know, they should not overlap. I feel the same way everybody else does as far as he goes with his businesses and everything else. He has an agenda. And because of who he is in the world and his outspoken, almost childish, unfiltered, lack of censorship behavior, should we call it? You know, he is the guy who's going to find out the truth and he's going to bring it. And that's sort of getting back to where we came in with all these earthquakes and climate changes. They're all in sync together. There really is like a domino effect to all of this. I don't know how much longer we as a planet are going to be here. If there's no stopping these changes. There's all kinds of climate talks that you read about, you know, and everybody who wants to bring climate change, and regardless of Trump's opinion on it or anybody else's opinion, climate change is really just, it's not going to stop anything. It's just going to happen, you know? And we're just getting used to it, and we're just adapting, and we're just preparing for it. But at the end of the day, with Trump, I believe he's here to bring the truth. And you say, well, what truth is that? And that's the truth about, since the beginning of time, human-alien interaction. Or he will, at the very least, open the door to what is true and what is false. Because the clock is ticking, we're running out of time, and people need to be awakened. And then once all of this happens, and once you realize, hey, wait a minute, the political systems, they could be corrupt, they could be honest, basically every single system or paradigm that we consider part of our reality is based on duality or polarity and is bipolar, and will always have dramas. There's no such thing as we're all going to sit here and meditate right now, right? Let's all meditate for peace and love and light. What does that mean? Let's all heal our issues and everything is going to be good tomorrow. No, it doesn't work that way. Reality doesn't work that way. At the end of everything, when you finished your soul searching and you're finished with everything else you believe is this reality, when all of that happens is when you actually sit back and you go, wait a minute, now I understand the truth behind the whole illusion. We live in what's called the holographic universe, a simulation theory. There are people all over the world who get it, they understand it, they've explained it. There are a group of billionaires who are saying things like, well, you know, we agree with this, but how do we get out of this? We want to break out of the illusion. We want to know what's on the other side of reality. There's a lot of theories about it. I will put down, when we post this on YouTube, I will put down where you can go to look for some of these theories. But this is the end of, pretty much the end. I mean, I've known about all of this stuff since I was a kid, and actually a lot of people have. You don't have to be spiritual. You do not have to meditate to get it. You do not have to heal your issues to get it. You don't have to do anything. You just have to look at reality and look at the world and just say, hey, look what's going on. So on that note, till I come back with my next video, it's a silly thing. Clell said, are you really going to say this at the end? Yes, it's December 18th. It's my friend George's birthday. Happy birthday, George. Not to mention Steven Spielberg, Brad Pitt, Christina Aguilera, and a couple of other actors and actresses well-known, who are very well-known and follow these kind of things. But at the end of the day, I wish you all a very happy holiday, as best you can, And as you go through life, if you think that people are getting crazier, they are. If you think the world is getting wackier, it is. If you think that really everything is falling apart, you've got a handle on it. If you think there's some place you need to go or thing you need to do, you can follow your gut, or you can just say, I'm just going to ride this out. At the end of everything, it just fades to black, like the end of a film. It just fades to black, and this reality as we know it, being the hologram that it is, just ends. And on that note, happy 2017. Let's see. Oh, this one.